Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Alter Your Health podcast, your source of information and inspiration to promote the holistic transformation of your health and the health of our planet. I'm Dr. Benjamin Alter.
And I'm Dr. Susanna Alter.
And today is Thursday. Today is episode number 145, an odd-numbered episode, which means that we're live in our Empowered Healing Naturally Facebook group, as well as on Instagram at Alter Health. So if you want to join these live podcast sessions, just head into the Facebook group. It's an open invitation.
Yes. And what we have going next month is a free event called the Medicinal Living Mini Series. This is going to be a week-long event in our Facebook group. So we really encourage all of you to join in for that because it's going to be a really powerful week.
Yeah, looking forward to it right in time in the midst of the holidays, hopefully to inform, inspire, and get you. Today on the podcast, we are diving into a topic that somehow we really haven't talked about in the whole course of this podcast journey here. And that's the topic of beverages. We talk about hydration a lot in our medicinal living course and mastermind. But we don't really focus too much, or we haven't focused too much in any podcast episode about food, drinks to avoid. So today we're talking about beverages to avoid, specifically if our intention is achieving and maintaining health. So let's dive right in.
Great. Okay. Well, should we just start with the first one?
The first, I would, we'll lead this off by saying these are in no particular order, unless you do think there is an order to
No,
them.
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that at the top of the list is the most obvious for most people. And that's just simply sugar sweetened beverages or artificially sweetened beverages, soda, diet soda, pop, Coke, Pepsi, Sprite, those kind of things that we have come to know that it really truly is empty calories. And even the diet soda, even though it's 0 calories, all it is chemicals, preservatives, all of these foreign substances that the human body just simply doesn't have the metabolic machinery to break down and to do anything with. So what it ends up doing is just stressing the liver, the kidneys, the detoxification pathways. It just overwhelms the system.
Yeah, and what's really interesting to consider about these empty calories is that when we take in empty calories in the form of like sugar in these sugary drinks, our body in the metabolism process actually creates byproducts, toxic byproducts. But usually when we're bringing in foods that also have lots of nutrients, lots of vitamins and minerals, those nutrients actually help us to basically buffer any kind of toxic byproduct that happens in the metabolic process.
Yeah, it's so true, because a lot of people can compare like a glass of orange juice to a can of soda. And they say, oh my gosh, well, the glass of orange juice has like just as much almost sugar as a can of soda. So what's the difference in drinking the orange juice? Well, the orange juice, even though it is not a whole real food, it's pressed orange juice, and hopefully it's not no preservatives or sugar additives in that. But the orange juice itself has so many healing compounds that offset that metabolic waste process. So yeah, that's a really good point on the topic of sugar metabolism, which is, some sciencey stuff that we get into every now and then, especially in our online course.
Yeah, and another fact about drinking these high caloric, sugary, low nutritional density drinks is that our kind of the term that Dr. Why am I blanking on his name?
There's a lot of doctors.
Nutritarian.
Oh, Furman.
Thank you. The term that Dr. Furman uses is our appestat.
Yeah.
This is kind of like the measurement of our appetite. And when we're taking in these sugary drinks, we might be taking in a ton of calories, but it doesn't actually help lower our appetite
Yeah.
at all.
No one, has a big glass of Coke and is like, oh, that really hit the spot. Now I'm not hungry. Usually people are taking the Coke and washing it down with their burgers and fries, right? And just adding a couple hundred calories onto an already metabolically complex and overwhelming meal. So we got that one out of the way. The one that's maybe most obvious and the easiest to grasp, Gatorade and Powerade and like all of these things that have been
Snapple.
It's probably such a longer list than I'm even familiar with right now. But when you go to our recommendation always is to pick up something, if you're going to buy something that's in a bottle, that's okay. There's things that are edible and things that we don't stray from ourselves, but you want to look at the ingredients list. And if you see anything related to sugar on the ingredients list, you should stay away from that. Especially if that ingredient is on the top of the list, which is the case with so many of those beverages that are in the beverage case at the grocery store, the gas station, or the airport, or wherever you're at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of these beverages also have a lot of other ingredients that you've probably never even recognized before. Long chemical names. And if you see that on the ingredients list, it's a good indicator to just put it back on the shelf and keep moving, because those chemicals are not going to be very health promoting for your body.
Totally. Which brings us to kind of the second category of beverages to.
Well, before we go on to that, can you just speak a little bit about artificial sweeteners?
Sure.
Because that's a whole nother topic.
Well, artificial sweeteners, that's a big category, and a lot of them don't have any calories, like, diet soda and aspartame is a big artificial sweetener. But we know very directly, very definitively, the extreme detriments that these artificial sweeteners have to our nervous system, our vascular system, our liver. The list goes on and on in terms of how these artificial sweeteners poison the body. And the point is that they poison the body because they are artificial, because they are synthetic. Our body doesn't know how to deal with them. So just because it says 0 calories does not mean that it's healthy. In fact, it means that it's unhealthy, unnatural. And there is no such thing as a 0 calorie anything that is actually health promoting.
Yeah. And these artificial sweeteners, they actually still really mess with our brain chemistry. When we drink very high sugary foods, it releases a lot of dopamine in the brain, and that gets us hooked. That gets us addicted to these high sugary, very sweet foods.
So that's probably what you wanted me to talk about.
Well, yeah, that part too, because artificial sweeteners, it's not like a workaround, it's still going to spike your dopamine, and then you're still going to have those cravings for all of these, way too high processed, sugary, hyper palatable foods.
Totally. Yeah. So, the whole brain chemistry response to sweet, whenever we taste sweet, that is happening in our brain. Mm-hmm. So we encourage you to get all of your sweets, but in the form of real foods. But that's kind of another topic. We're talking about beverages.
Yeah. I think, just interestingly enough, side note, I believe there's a study that showed that people that drink artificially sweetened beverages on the regular actually take in more calories on a daily basis than people who eat regular or drink regularly sweetened soda.
Because it does, turn on that ravenous hunger pathway, that dopamine pleasure trap that is, referred to by Dr. Goldhammer and Dr. Doug Lyle.
Yes.
But anyways, sugar sweetened beverages, that one's clear. That one's easy. We're staying away from those. The next big thing is energy drinks. Energy drinks is a lot of energy drinks are sugar sweetened. Of course, I think probably all energy drinks are sugar sweetened. Synthetic substances in them that are designed to turn on your energy pathways in some form or another. Some of these are kind of naturally derived, but they are constituents of plants or chemicals or, phytochemicals or phytonutrients or things like that are designed to turn on your energy pathways. And usually these energy drinks come with all sorts of junk, like literal junk that just clogs up all your systems in your body and tries to squeeze energy out of your depleted body. And it's really just a nasty cycle that you don't want to get stuck in, relying on these energy drinks for fuel. Because it's not real fuel, it's synthetic fuel. So we want to avoid energy drinks for a number of reasons. One is just the nature of the ingredients that are going into those energy drinks, which, so many artificial things, so many food colorings, food dyes, and preservatives, and the list goes on and on. I was just looking at one example of an energy drink ingredient list, and I was just like, what the heck is that? I don't know. I'm a pretty scientifically oriented guy, and I have no idea what the heck most of those things are. I know that they're preservatives and chemicals and food colorings and these sort of things. That's as much as I know. And I know that they're not designed to be metabolized by the human body. So we want to stay away from these things for that reason, and also because we want to get our energy from natural sources, from food, from carbohydrates, which is the body's preferred energy source. And we want to also, if our energy is low, we want to listen to that. We want to rest. We want to hydrate with natural fluids. We want to eat an optimally nourishing diet. We want to listen to these cues and not just pour some high octane fuel into the tank and just keep going in some unsustainable way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love what you say, Ben. I don't know if this is your original quote, but water is really the best energy drink.
Yeah, most of the time when people are feeling fatigued and when an energy drink does help, what helps even more or just as much is a glass of purified spring water, clean hydration. So we're not talking about hydration in this episode. We're talking about the things that can kind of get in the way of hydration and can get in the way of your natural healing process. So on that list is the sugar sweetened beverages, and then the kind of subcategory of the energy drinks, which is a huge one. I remember when it was really just like Red Bull and 5 Hour Energy and Monster or something.
Well,
and
now there's all these healthy energy drinks being marketed, and they're just as junky. So
they're just as junky. Yeah. So anything that is marketed as an energy drink, like drink this and feel great, you're gonna be energetic, that's the immediate red flag. Don't even go there. Don't even go there. So the next thing, kind of subcategory of energy drink, is coffee, which is kind of a controversial one because a lot of science does show that coffee is a great source of antioxidants that support liver health and all these kind of things. But coffee, as we like to point out, is really a drug. It's really a medicine. And it's one that is being totally abused and used recklessly in our society, in our world. A couple glasses, a couple cups every single morning, and then more in the afternoon. So many cultures drink, 1 or 2 ounces of coffee in the morning, and then that's it. That's their dose of the medicine. But in our society, it's totally abused. So let's talk about the downsides of coffee and kind of caffeine abuse.
And I just want to say, this is big that Ben is saying this because he used to be a big coffee man.
Up until about a year and a half ago, I was a cup a day coffee drinker.
Yes. So really, the title of this episode is Avoid These Beverages to Heal. So we're really talking about people who are really wanting to heal and reverse disease, people who are not feeling optimally well. The reason why we want to leave out caffeine is because, all those things that Ben said, but also it is a strain on the adrenals and it's a strain on the liver. And when people are really wanting to support their self-healing capability of their body, the liver and the adrenals are so key, are so key. So many people overwork their adrenals. So many people overburden their liver. We live in a toxic world. The standard American diet is full of toxins. We're breathing, drinking, just taking in toxins in every form. So, when really the goal is healing and taking off the burden from these key vital organs, it's just a really good idea to minimize the caffeine intake as much as possible.
Right. So I mentioned that coffee does have some constituents that do support liver health, but it also, as we know, has a huge amount of caffeine, which is like any other substance, any other drug or pharmaceutical. Caffeine needs to be broken down and metabolized by the liver. And when we're dosing ourselves with extreme amounts, thing that is often overlooked with regard to coffee as well is the dehydrating effects of this beverage and of caffeinated beverages in general. Considering that health only happens when we are hydrated, detoxification only happens when our cells are hydrated. And like I said, this isn't a hydration episode. Maybe we'll get deeper into the realm of optimal cellular hydration at another time. But coffee, caffeine, these kind of things totally dehydrate the body. So if you are drinking a cup of coffee, if you are struggling with quitting that habit, if you're still engaged with that, we encourage you to drink 2 or 3 cups of really optimally purified, mineral balanced water to hydrate yourself after your coffee on top of your baseline hydration, just to counteract and counterbalance the dehydrating effects of coffee.
Yeah. And I know people out there who drink coffee really love coffee, and they'll make up all sorts of excuses to keep drinking coffee. But I just want to call out a few things, because I hear a lot of people say, oh yeah, I feel pretty good. But maybe they're experiencing high amounts of anxiety or
insomnia.
Yeah.
So many people. I can hardly think of anyone who doesn't struggle with sleep issues.
Coffee is the first thing to remove.
And even if you're drinking just 1 cup of coffee at 9 a.m. and you have trouble going to sleep at 11 p.m., it's still something to strongly consider. Just try it out for a week or 2 or 3 at least. Give yourself that time. And the other thing is, so many people drink their coffee and they're adding in their cream and sugar, right? And that's a whole nother topic. If you can't handle coffee alone, maybe you shouldn't be drinking it. So it's like, if you need to mask it with huge amounts of cream and sugar and all the things, maybe you should reconsider your coffee habit and cut it down, just, an ounce or 2 or 4 instead of 24.
Yeah. So briefly, we did get a question about matcha tea, and also, green tea in general. So matcha tea has slightly more caffeine than regular steeped green tea, but both of them have a significantly less amount of caffeine than coffee does.
And matcha also has so many other phytonutrients and antioxidants, and it has a compound called L-theanine, which kind of counteracts the effects of caffeine and kind of tones down the nervous system a little bit. Mm-hmm. So we like green tea, but that being said, everyone's kind of unique in how they metabolize caffeine.
Yeah, and also the thing to look out for matcha is that some matcha is not responsibly sourced and is grown in soils with heavy metals. So you need to make sure that you are sourcing good matcha with no traces of heavy metals.
Right, because matcha is green tea leaves that are powdered up. So you're essentially eating the green tea rather than just steeping a green tea leaf bag. So you do want to be really sure that your matcha is optimally sourced. Let's get into, we're already 20 minutes in, and I want to get into
alcohol.
Alcohol. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Alcohol. So many people, I've heard so many people say, I can't metabolize alcohol. Whenever I drink, I get sick. What do I do about that? And my first my first thought is, well, don't you remember that alcohol is a direct toxin to the human body? So people, it's a socially accepted drug and toxin that, a lot of people overdo. Any chronic symptom that they're wanting to let go of, adding alcohol is not going to help. All it's going to do is take the healing potential that's available in your body and move it, because metabolizing alcohol is your body's priority because it is a toxic thing, a foreign substance, something that your body needs to get rid of as soon as possible. So your body gets a dose of alcohol and it turns off all the other healing that could potentially be going on and says, I need to get this crap out of me as soon as possible. So if we're doing that every single day, or a couple times a day, or even on the weekends, just consider all of the healing potential that is being shunted just to process that alcohol. And then, people get hungover and they have this, the half-life of their alcohol experience is prolonged, and people want to just mitigate that and feel better. And yeah, there's some kind of hacks to metabolize alcohol better, but the best hack that I know is to stop drinking. And especially if you want to heal. I mean, it's really like a no-brainer. And I know that it's an addictive thing and people struggle with alcoholism, and that's a whole nother deep topic. But for all of us who might engage socially from time to time, just reconsider that relationship with that beverage, with that glass of wine, with that IPA, whatever it is, whatever your favorite drink is it worth shutting off your healing process in your body just to metabolize that alcohol? Is it worth it? Because, for me, 9 or 10 years ago at this point is when I stopped drinking, and I just had this epiphany, this light bulb, it is not worth it. I have fun when I drink, when I have a couple beers. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the feeling of having a couple beers and dancing and hanging out with people and actually do that, have that fun, feel good, feel open, feel connected without alcohol. It was not the alcohol that was allowing me to have fun. It was my thoughts that were getting in the way of me having fun. So that's obviously a big, big topic, but we need to remember that alcohol, even though it is totally socially accepted in our society, we need to consider and remember that it is a direct toxin to the human body.
Well, I don't think I have anything to add to that because you nailed that one.
Yeah.
But we did get another question. What's so great about being live with us is that we can actually answer your questions in real time.
Yeah,
so,
if they fit into our conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so a follow-up question about matcha for people who have adrenal fatigue. Yes. So Maker, I think you came in a little bit late. We were saying for people who are healing, it's good to minimize all caffeine as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And everyone's unique with
it's true.
how they metabolize caffeine.
Mm-hmm.
So sugar sweetened beverages, the real no-brainer that we all can understand. Energy drinks, anything that's marketed to just give you a quick boost.
Artificially sweetened.
Oh, artificially sweetened.
Mm-hmm.
And then energy drinks, coffee, a big one. Alcohol, maybe even a bigger one. These things are big, and we drink just like water and green tea or other herbal tea and like kombucha from time to time, and sparkling water with some lemon or grape juice or things like that. So I forget that there's this whole huge, vast beverage market, but it doesn't, all I have to do is walk into a grocery store and see the lineup of, like yards and yards and 100 feet of just beverages. It's a huge market. I sometimes forget about it. But it's just know that most of that stuff is not going to support your health.
Mm-hmm. So today we were some bad cops taking away some
The
of
choice
people's
is yours.
pleasures.
But-
Yes,
but
but the
it's-
choice really is yours. And yeah, it really goes down to what Ben said. We could either choose to continue drinking these beverages, or we could choose to really start supercharging our healing and our
Yeah.
health. And I love the quote that you mentioned the other day, Ben, when someone, I forget who it was, he realized that he loved his daughter more than he loved chocolate cake, and that he wanted to be around longer to spend time with his daughter and his grandchildren. You know, he would rather do that than just enjoy his cake every day. So yes, I mean, you've got the option every day to choose health.
Totally. And the thing is that as we equilibrate and as we we'll use the term quote unquote detox, as we get rid of all of these things that we've been habitually conditioned to enjoy and rely upon, we can totally enjoy real, natural, healthy things.
Mhm.
It's not a matter of sacrificing pleasure and just being some like giving it all up and going into a cave and being a Buddhist monk and like surrendering all pleasurable experiences. There are natural things that can provide you not only the nutrition, the sustenance, the health, but also the pleasure. So it's not mutually exclusive here.
It's true.
Well, thanks for tuning in, you guys. And before we go, I know Susanna wanted to remind you.
Yes, I just wanted to remind you all again that our free webinar is coming up December 2nd. That's the Medicinal Living mini series, and you're all welcome to join us. That's happening in our Empowered Healing Naturally Facebook group. So if you aren't already in that group, make sure you head over to Facebook and join us, because there's a continuous conversation of health supporting information happening in that group. So if you want that support between podcast episodes, that's where we recommend you go.
Totally. Yeah. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your time. Peace and love, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye for now.